Hello everyone, it's nice to see you again. This is the last video for the week and we'll get back together again on Monday. I just want to refresh your memory, remind you that you are to be handing in your work to me every day, and you have a vocabulary test tomorrow over your words, very possibly. I'll try to get that out tonight or in the morning. If I don't get it out tomorrow, don't worry about it, but we should be able to. All right. We're going to pick up where Tom dominates the restaurant scene and his behavior reveals his inability to escape his memories of his childhood. He's a very embittered attitude toward them, and he is a habitual flirtation. The scene reveals a great deal about Tom, and the audience is left wondering about the other characters in the play, what's happening with them, etc. On page 652, section 50, we read about how he feels about tipping people. I'm not going to read that right now, but you can read that. It shows that Tom has no real interest in or affection for other people, but nevertheless, he craves attention, and it also reveals his need to control people. We also learn something about Tom and Margaret's marriage as seen through her eyes. We don't really get to see a lot through Margaret, but we do in this scene. We also see more about Jean and his mother's relationship. Though Margaret is married to a selfish and self-centered man, she is determined to make the best of it. We also see how she turned her son, when neglected by her husband, when they were at parties and dance parties and stuff like that. Her husband wouldn't dance, but Jean would dance with her. Margaret may be very tolerant, sympathetic, forbearing, and devoted, and these are very good qualities that Tom conspicuously completely lacks. Jean appears to be sensitive, intelligent, and cultivated, qualities that apparently are encouraged by his mother. Jean's playfulness indicates that he is relaxing with his mother, and his uneasiness has passed. On page 653, section 58, it says, "I think it would be the best thing in the world for you to get away to marry this girl." This confirms to the audience and to that it is Tom, not Margaret, who objects to Jean's moving away and getting married. We also see that Jean may have difficulty in communicating his emotions in relationships. Margaret reveals that Tom's attitude toward his son is that he really is proud of Jean and probably wants the kind of relationship with him that he pretends to have. Margaret is very practical in her attitude toward coping with old age. Tom always gives his wife handkerchiefs on special occasions, but he doesn't buy them himself, revealing that Tom is too self-centered to even think about what may actually please his wife. Tom repeats himself constantly as his complaints about prices and just everything else he does. While Tom resists advice about his own health, he has no reluctance in giving advice to others. Now, Harlem, in the northern section of Manhattan during Tom's childhood, was a middle-class neighborhood. Tom may be sincere or feigning his hurt feelings, but in any case, he seems to retreat from the confrontation. There's an interchange that attests to Tom's and Jean's inability to deal with each other. They just cannot get along. When the conflicts arise, one or the other retreats rather than confronting the issue at hand. Now, Tom does talk about his daughter Alice and becomes important. Alice does become an important motivation later on in the play in Act 2. Jean quotes T.S. Eliot's The Hollow Man with the line, "Not with a bang, but a whimper." This refers here to Jean's parents, who are becoming more dependent on Jean in their old age. On page 656, section 72, the play reached its first actual moment of crisis, and that is when Margaret has a heart attack. Though his wife may be on her deathbed, Tom's reminiscence of his childhood sweetheart is what's on his mind. Even though his childhood sweetheart has died, that's what he still wants to talk about, and that's what he still remembers. He says that relationships, even after they have ended, continue to be redefined in one's mind. Tom wants to leave the hospital because he's very uncomfortable in the hospital. Now, that's his wife lying there and dying. And in closing, we just want to remember that he may be afraid of losing his wife. That's why he behaves inappropriately. But the information that we receive from Gene is that maybe he's just afraid of losing his wife. We do realize that Gene was in the Marines in World War II, and he participated in the Battle of Iwo Jima. It is typical of Tom to expect people to cheat him when the pastor comes, when his wife is dying. And that's where we're going to end it. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk with you on Monday.